two guys. Good morning. I'm on my way to New York, and just looking at the Wall Street Journal, which is kind of fun. Oh, look at that. Permian oil extraction lifts and sinks land. That's not good for oh, look at this, see? There's a little chart there, a little graph there. How do you do it, Drill down and go horizontal. We'll read this. This isn't why I started this video, but last night we did a live, and what came across by many people is that Ham and I were not talking about GTII. I love how they don't talk about GTII anymore. So I just want to do a video on that. I tried to answer it last night after Ham cut off, and I've been right in front of GTII for the last, 2.5, 3 years. I personally, unless you wanted me to cause a panic, which is a difficult decision. And I could have been wrong. That's also the thing. It's easy to say now, but I started getting really cautious on GTII last, August. And I said it. Give or take, July, August, September. But I could be wrong. So let's quickly go over the positives, because I guess you need to hear the exact same story all over again. The positives are this. Alpine Securities, run by John Hurry, has been, for lack of a better vocabulary, censored by FINRA. If that has a legal meaning, I don't understand it. I'm not using any kind of highfalutin law degree meaning of that word. FINRA moved to have Alpine expelled. Alpine counteracted with a lawsuit in Florida, then to buy time, they moved it to DC. To my memory, it has 3 main points. FINRA doesn't have a right to exist. If FINRA exists, they don't have a right to include Alpine in their reach and make Alpine be a member. And 3, they don't have a right to sanction Alpine, something like that. These are 3 unbelievably obtuse lawsuits, but they're working. And this should go to that guy the other day telling you not to move out of MMTOP to Nextbridge. He's claiming some 5-year-old article on Yahoo that talks about a law, and he's got a minor in business law, and you don't know what you're talking about. Look up the law. Well, the problem with lawsuits is what is going on with Alpine.
New York Penn Station Moynihan train hall.
That's the
For your
train.
convenience, there are restrooms and trash receptacles at the end of each car. Please feel free to use them at any time.
I might put my sunglasses on because it's.
If you are sitting in a quiet car,
out.
that means you are in a library-like atmosphere. No talking, no media being played without headphones. Be courteous to your fellow passengers. Next station stop will be New Carrollton, Maryland. If New Carrollton is your station stop, please walk to the front of the train. Only the first 3 cars of the train doors will open for New Carrollton.
I'll take them off as soon as I can.
Please have all tickets out, ready to be scanned by conductors.
So anyway,
train 112 that serves to
during
New York
that
Penn Station,
process,
Moynihan train hall. All
let me
tickets out,
wait.
please.
Okay, during that process of the lawsuits, you, as an observer, listening to this person telling you not to do anything, not to go claim your asset on MFD. You can see that lawyers who have money can file anything. They can delay anything, and it goes on and on and on. And then they change venue. They bring up some other case. And the next thing you know, years go by. Time goes by. What the Kramers and the Hurries and the other players want is time. So, anyway, the other thing that we have going for us is that the NSCC put in the document that the reason FINRA was taking this action, I'm paraphrasing, is because of a deficiency. The reason Alpine is deficient is a large short position in GTII. That's still there. So I used some numbers yesterday. I'll quickly say that. When, and this is, if you don't understand this by now, I suggest you shouldn't be chasing short squeezes. When David Reichman spoke to Carlos Danger in probably October, November of, now I'm all going to lose it. Was it 2020, 2019? Before GTII took the toxic note deal with Power Up Lending, as soon as he talked to him, Kurt and Seth Kramer, Carlos Danger, who runs the little boiler room, they started selling the stock down, and they sold it down, and they sold it down, and they sold it down. After the signature, they just take those unsettled trades, they take the cash, they give it to GTII, and then there's a toxic formula in there, they keep selling. So I think they took the note in whatever November that was, and in January or February, Reichman bought it back. There was, I'm going to use a broad number, there was 50 million shares counterfeited. The float was 10 to 20 million, the realistic float. I think the outstanding shares were in the 40 or 50 million share level. And the situation was set up for a short squeeze. Now, just to quickly tell you, another Wall Street guy looked up the sales and going back when it was called green shoe tree top, bouncing ball energy, whatever it was. And there may have been hundreds of millions of shares that had driven that stock down before. This is what the shorts do. And so if you're buying these stocks, this selling goes on and on and on and on and on. It never stops. They sell stock they don't locate, which is against the law. They collude with each other, which is against the law. They don't borrow the shares in writing before they sell, which is against the law. They don't settle the trades, which is against the law. No one follows up, which I think is a failure of the regulatory system. And then they tell you, oh, you shouldn't have been in the over-the-counter market anyway. This is what we're up against. Now, GTII, from that time, from February, March of when it started to run, it went from about the Kramers did most of their selling as low as a penny, 5 cents a penny. They kept selling, but it went from 9 cents to $9 roughly. It did 100x, 100x. Now, most of you, including me, did not buy the stock at 9 cents, but it did 100x. That was the run. Now, for everyone asks, what'd you do, blah, 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 blah. Well, I didn't sell at 9. I didn't, because I believed that at that time, the short squeeze was happening. I'm not going to go through my theory of that, but I think as a group we got distracted and we sold. Well, okay, it's not diamond hands. You can sell. You can do it. But the lesson you should learn, and we all should learn, is if there's a next time, it's still bright. If there's a next time, you have to take money off the table. have one friend, he got in at, I don't know, 40 cents. He sold it $2.20. He sold it within 6 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And he never looked back. And that was probably the best trade in retrospect. Okay, now GTII. What's changed in GTII? They for a long time, they worked to trap the shorts. They worked to catch out the shorts. If I had to summarize what's changed with GTII, they're no longer trying to catch out the shorts. GTII no longer has a strategy or an impulse or an effort to catch out the shorts. So, Kurt Kramer, Seth Kramer, Carlos Danger, Leo, whoever's over there on Clams Neck, Long Island, won. They've won in the short. But guess what? There still is a short position. There still is this massive short position. We're really starting to hum along. We're up to, I don't know, 60 miles per hour. If we were in Spain, we'd be at 200 kilometers per hour. So anyway, that's the biggest difference. The company is no longer trying to catch up the shorts. I dropped my sunglasses. That's the biggest difference. They also have issued a lot of stock. So I think the outstanding stock, I saw it on the live last night, it's 400 million shares. A lot of it's issued to insiders, but the 12-month holding period, the 12-month restriction on a lot of that stock is probably coming to an end. I think as long as people remain insiders, there's still some restrictions. But the single difference with GTII is management is no longer deploying strategies to catch out the short. It's just a fact. So me included, had a chance to sell and make a nice return. In my case, I believed that the squeeze was on and it was going to happen. I'm not going to bore you with it again, but Fidelity was borrowing at 1,000%. Wells Fargo reportedly took the buy button away. But here we are over a year later from that, and we have to face the facts that Alpine took over the position, it looks like, from the prime broker of the Kramers, took over the position, it looks like, which implies the Kramers were in trouble, by the way. And they continued to sell. And we saw it. So now, there's people out there that say, oh, there's systems in place, it's algorithmic trading, you don't know, there's no way there's that big a short position there. They don't do it, yeah, whatever. If you believe that, don't buy any of these stocks. But there is a phenomenon, in my opinion, that happens after time goes by. Look at GME, look at AMC. After time goes by, whether it's because management loses heart, whether it's because we as investors start doing other things, the shorts, the counterfeiters, the criminals get it under control, and there's very little that can surprise them. Okay, so now you have a company at GTII which has 3 or 4 people in their 80s, give or take. They have a business plan which involves time. Their business model is to incubate companies who were private. Make sure the filings are correct, advise them to get their numbers up and their reporting up and their performance up, and then let that company float. They tried to do this with a gold company, a medical company, an eyeglass company, blockchain company, a legal firm, a mining company. And it is my judgment that any management team who wants to experience that kind of strategy, the last place they're going to go is to octogenarians. I'm just sorry. I'm not that old yet, but I'm keenly aware that Wall Street is a young man's business, woman's business, and I just think they aged out of their business model. They also, as I've already said, are no longer focused on getting a squeeze. There isn't a deal pending for GTII, and that's just the fact. The trade round trip, if you're still in it, you, as you ever did, you have a choice of, do I buy more, do I just hold it, or do I sell it? And this car has empty seats everywhere. I guess they're gonna want to sit next to me. I unfortunately think the time to sell this was at higher levels. We're now at 15 cents. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes lower. But it's probably a time to slowly accumulate, because in my judgment, there's still a large naked short position, counterfeit position. I also, and I'm going to call when it's a little later in the day, I hope to meet one of the guys, or both of them, that have been working on the Trento. If I'm asked to help, if I'm called to action, I'm going to make sure that we bring assets and cash flow and strategies into GTII that catch out the shorts. And you will get, if I have anything to do with it, the satisfaction of having this exposed and making money, or die trying. But for the time being, it's a dead stock, it's a dead trade, unless out of the blue, and it can happen, Alpine has to buy back. Someone in the regulatory system decides to make an example out of this one. Anything like that. I don't feel like that's happening. Okay, so what can you do? You can sell. Just sell, get out. And just say, this sucks, I'm gone. That's one strategy. The other strategy is you can sell and buy something else, another stock. The problem is there's only one other stock which Ham has followed. I say we, but Ham has followed closely, and he almost knows by his instincts and his memory how much was shorted, what's the position. He's gotten information from Tom Rock. Look, there's guys out there who say, you can't listen to Rock, yeah, whatever. Those theories have been complete failures as predictive methods for the stock price. So there's only one other stock which I'm highly confident is going to go up. Is it going to go up right away? Who knows? If the market crashes and we go into a Great Depression for the next 100 years, is it going to go up? I don't know. There is risk in the stock market. That's why there's reward. But anyway, it's finger motion. So you could sell your GTII and buy finger motion. But you're going to reduce your exposure from maybe tens of thousands of shares down to a few thousand, whatever your position is, because to buy finger motion is expensive compared to GTII. But that doesn't mean it's a bad decision financially. Now, what can finger motion do? And I'm just going to state it. We'd had a whole long call about it last night. Finger motion could go from 3 basically to 6, 7, 8, 9. Ham believes if it does that with enough volume, it's off to the races. Institutions are coming in, and that could happen. On the other hand, they could have finger under control, and what you're looking at over the next 2 or 3, 4 months is a double or a triple, which is not bad. It's not bad. And you have to wait for the bigger numbers. I love finger motion. Another stock I said yesterday that you could buy is Logic. It's been down. Aubrey Advisors didn't have the best of luck doing the SPAC, sponsoring the SPAC and the D-SPAC. We'll leave that all behind. But the stock is trading at 3 cents. They are going to do a reverse merger. They've said it. It's in action. It's a clean shell, and it's going to be bought by a company who is going to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars as it's been its way. We will get a percentage of that, and we're just along for the ride when it's announced, which I think could be soon. Logic should go up. There's your trade. 3 cents, you get out at 6 cents. You double your money. 3 cents, 9 cents, you triple your money. 3 cents, 12 cents, you make 4 times 15, whatever. You get out, and then you can buy back GTII in 31 days. What's another one? This stock that I can't talk about anymore, that Ham talks about, becomes, it starts with a letter at the end of the alphabet. That would be an alternative. It's something you know. Move over to DBMM on the theory that if Alpine goes down, GTII will be bought in, but guess what? DBMM would also the logic goes, have to be bought in. But by doing something, you can take a loss, wait 31 days, buy it back, and you establish capital losses in order to offset higher capital gains tax rates, which are coming. What's the negative? You lose your long-term status if a profit comes. But I'm just trying to give you ideas on how you can act. I don't think I'm going to sell my remaining shares of GTII. I haven't decided, but I don't think I am. Some of these ideas I've given you, I did a little bit of. It can come out of the blue, and the stock can skyrocket. So the risk, the risk is that everything's shaking, rattling, rolling. The risk is that once you're out, it could run. And that's the risk you take. So you have to decide, do I hold it because I don't want to take the risk of being out? I'm willing to wait. Do you dollar cost average and start buying more? Or do you sell? Or do you sell with the intent of acting? I'm going to create a tax loss, and I'm going to buy back in. So I think GTII, unless a bolt of lightning strikes, is dead money, and I think it's going to go sideways, possibly for months, and it may never recover. There are better ideas. I hope now that this gives the people that say, why are Ham and William talking about finger? They never talk about GTI anymore. I've just talked about it. I will talk about it again. I own it. It's been disappointing. I kick myself when I think I should have sold it, but that's life. That's trading. My train is 5 minutes late, so I'll get into New York 5 minutes late. All right. I personally think the focus should be on finger. I hope to meet with management of the 2 or 3 different companies I've talked about, and these 1 or 2 trades that Ham mentions, and I have been asked not to. these stocks can give you upside, but I won't blame you if you just don't trust the markets anymore. The markets are rigged. I think by now we know that nobody cares. Gensler's not going to enforce the securities laws that have been on the books for over 100 years. He's not going to enforce Reg Show. He simply isn't. The people that collect big salaries at FINRA, over-the-counter markets, and NASDAQ don't care. They're not going to do anything. Your broker-dealer, either they don't know or they're along for the ride, but they will continue to put counterfeit shares that don't exist into your account, because as far as they can tell, as long as they put the entry in your account and no one's enforcing the rules, all they have to be able to do is sell those shares if you ask to sell them and give you cash at settlement. And the whole lot of you and me, we're not going to do it at the same time. This is their strategy. This is how they make money. And then you've got scumbags like the Kramers, Carlos Danger, Lynn Partners, and the whole lot of them, the Hurries. That's where they live. They just sell stuff that doesn't exist. They create money out of nowhere. They shuffle the deck a lot. They hire big lawyers. They move it offshore. They don't pay taxes, and no one cares. So we have to understand that. So there are chances we can act. Stocks do move. The action moves where stocks move. Big institutions come in, big investors come in. Situations can create uplifts. Next time, and I hope I'm strong enough, next time, as it goes up, I'm taking my money off quickly, and then I'm going to take a nice profit out at a low number, and I'm only going to let my dreams run with a small percentage of the shares, rather than letting my dreaming run with the entire position. Okay, that's GTII. I'm going to do other videos today, and I hope they're full of excitement and upside and enjoyment. I just wanted to get GTII off my chest. As long as David Reichman is in charge, it is clear he no longer has any desire or incentive to cause a short squeeze. I also think he is just cashing out after all these years, selling stuff, doing things like this, not giving up control, because hey, maybe he's saying I sacrificed for all these years, it's my turn to enjoy it. This is not a situation that appeals to me to put new money in. So therefore, you might ask, why would I hold it? Because it's so low now, and lightning can't strike. So I'm going to hold it. I reserve the right to change my mind if I see a trade, but I'm going to hold. But I think over the next weeks and months, there's better places to make money. To repeat, I'm not saying it won't work. I'm not saying it won't squeeze. I'm not saying I'm quitting. Okay? Can we leave it there on GTII? All right, 30 minutes. We'll talk to you later.